Okay, let me show you how I make the dip now. And all the dip really is a royal icing that I leave out. Usually royal icing has either egg whites or meringue powder in it. And I leave that out because what that actually does is it makes the icing set up or get hard. Well, since it's a dip, I don't want it to get hard. And this is actually just a half batch. This stuff will keep for a month. So you can make it ahead and then just dip out what you want. Start with 4 cups, give or take, of confectioner sugar. This is 1 pound of sugar. So we'll put it, and you can actually just mix this by hand. You don't have to beat it. So we're going to put that in there. Then next is a half a teaspoon of cream of tartar, and this is optional. It kind of gives it a little taste that I like, especially with the lemon. So this is half a teaspoon, and I'm going to mix that just a little. Just get it stirred up in there. Okay, next we need some fresh lemon juice. So we're going to take the lemon that we zested and we're going to squeeze it and strain it. So let's cut it in half. Now when I make a whole batch, it takes all of the lemon, so I'm probably just going to need half of it. And what we want here is a total of about 1/4 cup of liquid. So we're going to mix lemon juice with warm water till we get 1/4 cup. And you can adjust the ratio to suit your taste. If you don't like a strong lemon flavor, then you're going to want to cut back to just a couple of tablespoons. You can use the whole 1/4 cup lemon juice. So whatever strength you want. Okay, so that's pretty much got that half done. Got that in there, and now we're going to run it through a strainer just to get out any pulp that might have gotten in there, those little tiny seeds. Now we have some good clear lemon juice. All right, here's my 1/4 cup. So I'm going to pour this in there, and it's about half, and then I'm going to get warm water to fill it the rest of the way up. Okay, here we go. A little bit of warm water just to top it off, and this is not a science. So don't worry about it. Okay, pour that into the sugar there. And then let's get all this out of our way. Now, we also need some flavorings. And I put those up, I think. So we're going to add a half a tablespoon of vanilla flavoring. And 1/4 tablespoon of almond, and if you go half and a half, you're going to be fine. So here's a half a tablespoon of vanilla, and in fact I'm just going to eyeball it and get about half as much almond. Okay. Now, the last thing I want to add, and this is also optional, is a tablespoon of Karo syrup. You usually add this if you're going to decorate cookies, you add this because it makes them shiny and helps keep that icing soft. I just like the way it tastes in there. So, about a tablespoon of this. Make sure you get all of that in there. Okay. And now we're ready to mix. So let's just turn it on. And like I said, there's not any special thing you have to do. You're just incorporating. I don't turn it up real high because that sugar goes everywhere. If you have clear vanilla, then it comes out a really nice white color. Okay, so let's take the bowl off. And we have our spatula, so let's scrape the beater down. That off of there so we can clean it up good. It's very, very thick, but we're fixing to thin it out just a little bit more. Okay, so we're going to, I keep mine in this little Loctite deal because, like I said, this stuff will last a month. And the only problem you have is sometimes it does separate, but you just stir it back together and it's good as new. And if you keep it in the fridge, it doesn't separate as much, but you don't have to do that since there's no dairy in here. This was so yummy. And it actually smells amazing. Okay, now as you can see, this is way too thick to dip your cookies in. So what we're going to do now is thin it. And this is how we thin it. This is a spray bottle of just water. So I'm just going to spray it on here, a couple of sprays at the time, and keep stirring it until it gets to be the consistency that I want. And like I said, mine is kind of an off-whitish color because I didn't use clear vanilla. You can use clear vanilla. So let's just mist it, a couple of sprays at the time. A little bit does a lot. And then you just start stirring. This also helps get those bubbles out of there. And still too thick, so maybe 3 more. Like I said, this is entirely up to you. It's not going to take a lot of water. And the more water you add, the more it is prone to separation. But you just stir it back up and it is perfectly fine and it tastes fantastic. And it's very sweet, so you don't need a lot to dip your cookie in. Just about 2½ there. And it's really never the same amount. You just have to work it in. Make sure you get it all worked in really good. And if it's still too thick, spray it again. Make sure you get all the way to the bottom. I usually have another spatula that's a little bit firmer than this one to help me work it in. As you can see, we're just working it in. I'm going to need a little more water. Got to be careful because you can always add more water, but you cannot take the water out. So be really careful. Just go slow. Keep on stirring. And that is awfully, awfully close. Maybe just one more spritz right there in the middle. And that should be. And like I said, if you want it thinner, then hit it with water. Okay? Or add more, you can add some more lemon juice. But that was quite a good bit of lemon juice for this batch. So. And for my liking, that's going to be a beautiful, dippable texture there. And what I like to do is put it in these little 2-ounce cups with a lid. That way you don't have people double dipping into your sauce. So I usually, once I get it done like I like it, I put it into all these little cups and put the lid on them. And you can either store them on the countertop or store them in the fridge. Okay, so that batch was enough for 8 cups of icing, and each cup usually dips at least 3 cookies, sometimes 4. It depends on how much of a sweet tooth that person has. If you don't want to dip yours all up into serving sizes, then you can just keep it in an airtight bowl, cover it with a piece of plastic wrap, and that keeps it fresher longer. Like I said, you can keep it on the countertop, just don't put it in the sun. It just tends to separate and you have to stir it back together. That's the only thing. Keep it in the fridge, it's going to be stiffer, but when it thaws or when it warms up a little, it will get fluid again.